Yo,
Let's go.
what's up, buddy?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you too. Listen, we're at 88K today on the 6th of March, 2025. We've been these last few weeks experiencing what some are calling a camel market. Not a bull market, not a bear market, a camel market, really humpy.
It
Like,
spits.
it feels like the pace that we turn from like bullish to bearish changes every single day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting times. What's on your mind?
I think everyone's dopamine addled, right? There is no logic. It's all pure emotion.
Yeah.
If you're feeling good, you buy. If you're feeling afraid, you sell. I think the markets are manipulated. And tomorrow we're supposed to get some kind of announcement around Bitcoin being included in some type of strategic reserve. And perhaps a sovereign wealth fund for some cryptos, some shit coins. I don't know. I saw someone say, "Is this the sell the news event before the sell the news event?" which will happen tomorrow. So, what do you call the pre-sale? The pre-sale of the sell the news. I
Yeah,
really
like
don't know.
yeah, these are like information wars right now. It's like it's hard to make sense of it because I don't know why you would telegraph that you've got this big announcement, coming on Friday about why just like not wait? And then also why not just wait to literally do it and then announce that you did it versus like announcing the announcement. And it gets very convoluted. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty draining to try and keep up with. I'm not that interested in it. I don't. Yeah, I could actually. Listen, if the government wants to buy Bitcoin, fantastic. That's good for the country. But like, I really don't care. I don't know. Like, I guess it'll pump our bags, but like, I mean, everybody should buy Bitcoin, but like, I'm not in this just waiting for the government to come in and and validate it. Uh,
Yeah, and why haven't they? And why haven't the other countries? We have been talking about who's going to buy Bitcoin, which country, for months and probably years. And what's taking so long? It's literally the easiest thing to do, especially if you're
yeah.
a government and you can create your own currency. If you can print your own money out of thin air. I don't, I mean, just looking at all the fraud and waste and abuse that the government of the United States is guilty of, like, what's a couple hundred billion in Bitcoin? It's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. So I agree with you. I'm fatigued. I could care less. I've seen some sort of persuasive arguments that Bitcoin should not be centralized within the government. I don't know how to think about that. Governments can purchase Bitcoin, enemies can purchase Bitcoin. So whether or not they should, I think is a secondary debate.
I agree
But
with
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, like it's sort of a waste of time having that argument whether or not governments should own Bitcoin because you can't stop them from owning Bitcoin, and eventually everyone is going to be owning Bitcoin. So it's like I get to kind of play out the scenarios of what will happen once governments adopt Bitcoin and how you can maybe protect yourself from any Bitcoin confiscation or 6102 attack or whatever it is, why you should self-custody. These are all things that we talk about, nonstop, relentlessly. So it's almost like we're right back in the place that we started with, trying to encourage everybody to just stay humble, stack sats, and self-custody.
yeah. I think that's the way I think about it. The world is too big. The only thing I can do is buy some Bitcoin and put it in cold storage. You said 6102, and yes, the government can steal your gold and they can take your house and they can take your land and they can kill you. They cannot take your Bitcoin if it's in self-custody. I love that. I mean, you should buy Bitcoin just for that purpose. It's something that they cannot take from you.
Yeah.
We're watching, the Trump, he's kind of sort of whipsawing between, are there tariffs? Are there not tariffs? Do they happen March 1st? Do they happen April 1st? Are they 10%, 25%? And I think the Bitcoin market is having a similar sort of schizophrenic approach where, are we up or are we down? It looks to me like there are very powerful figures working to keep the price below 100. But I don't know if that's true or not. It might just be that there aren't enough buyers showing up compared to the short sellers that are taking out leverage and driving the price down. So there's like, how do you weather a market like this? How do you weather your finances like this? And to me, it goes back to what we talk about. It's, like you said, stay humble, stay solvent, buy Bitcoin when you have available cash to do it, and put it away for the next 4 or 10 years. Think about it at that point. Sort of the amusing part of whether or not we're going to do a strategic reserve is over. Either tomorrow, like we're going to rock it on the news, or we're just going to take an absolute shit,
I think we're taking a
publicly.
shit. I'm gonna call it now.
Yeah, huge dump.
I do. Yeah, I think huge dump. I think what's the, I mean, the information's already out there. It's people are already talking about it. What's the difference gonna, it's good. It's only going to be more words. Like it's
This
not
is,
like they're
yeah.
gonna, it's not like they're gonna unveil like unless they're fucking buying it tomorrow. Yeah.
I mean, so
And they
David
put up they
Sachs,
they get the,
yeah,
you know.
it's sort of binary, right? They either did or they didn't, or they will or they won't. You
Yeah,
kind of
and
have those
everything in
binary
between is
choices.
just more words about what is going to potentially be done. So like could there be like a small rally, 10% up or downward either way? Yeah, I just think that this market is really, I mean, if you're a speculator and you love like taking out leverage and shorts and longs and everything, you're probably loving this volatility.
How
Um,
do you make money though? I mean, the price is going to wipe you out within hours.
Only
You
if you
see it go
gamble
from,
in the right direction. That's it, right?
yeah.
And
I
quickly.
suppose you have like a small window to capitalize. I don't really know the ins and outs. I'm not that sophisticated.
Me,
Um,
yeah.
but tell me what you think about this. David Sachs, the crypto czar, he comes out today on Twitter and says the US government has sold, pretty much 195,000 Bitcoin. I mean, that's it, right? The government doesn't have any more Bitcoin. Maybe they have 5,000 laying somewhere, but they sold it all, according to David Sachs. And
Hmm.
last week we heard that perhaps the US Marshals fumbled the bag and the Bitcoin that the US had confiscated from Silk Road, from Mt. Gox, from these other places, Bitfinex, that's all now dumped on the market. And the US, capitalized on 336 million instead of whatever it would have been worth today, 15 billion or something. It sounds to me like David Sachs is like, hey, we don't have any Bitcoin. Do you see that?
I didn't see that. That's interesting. I saw the U.S. Marshal stuff. Um, Part of me thinks that that's just optics, like a psyop. They don't want to tell people actually what, you know,
Okay.
what's been
So
done
they'll
with
just,
it. Um,
yeah, he'll be the Batman
dude,
Gotham League.
I can't imagine that they would be so irresponsible in their containment of a narrative about Bitcoin being used for illicit funds, and then the confiscated Bitcoin that they had from, Silk Road gets sold on the open market, and then you've got like quote unquote illicit fucking coins out there, like there, which I don't believe in, right? It's like it's just value transfer. Like guarantee you, I have used dollars to pay with things in the open market that have been used for illicit activities. So I reject the whole narrative of Bitcoin
Right.
being used for illicit funds. I'm just saying that if they were to do that, they've essentially endorsed the narrative that Bitcoin is, just money and not, you can't really
Right.
differentiate between these sats and those sats because these ones are used for illicit activity or not. If they're that irresponsible or retarded to just like sell that to the open market to retail investors or even, OTC, then that's pretty bullish. But I don't know.
It, it also means they're starting from zero. It,
It
it
also
means
means
that
they're starting from zero. I don't like, I would, I don't, I hate the fact that the Bitcoin that would be considered maybe owned by the government is confiscated for this nonsense. Like I don't like, oh, we stole this Bitcoin. Yay.
I
So
mean,
part of
yeah.
me just likes the idea of the government starting from scratch. So like I hope it's true. I hope we have zero Bitcoin. We got
I
a lot more catching up to do if that's the case, and we can do it the
yeah,
right way.
I think they have zero Bitcoin,
Yeah.
or if they have any, it's a trace amount. And compared to the countries who are secretly stacking, it's like nothing. So I
I
don't
think
know.
everyone's secretly stacking. I mean, I don't think that, you know, it's not smart to just telegraph this type of stuff, right? Like
But we're doing it tomorrow. I mean, yeah, again, like
that's why I
we're
kind of
being,
doubt it because we're telegraphing it so much. It's like, why would we do that?
it's because it's America and we don't care. We're gonna buy all the Bitcoin in your face.
It
You're gonna
is
watch
so
us
it's
do
so
it.
Trumpian. It's
It
so
is.
funny. It's like the most Trump fucking thing ever.
It is. And Saylor was on Fox Business talking to a redhead, can't remember, and he said, I think the US will acquire it. I think we'll do it strategically. I think we'll do it progressively. And he said, we'll do it transparently. And to me, tomorrow, I know we're thinking that everything's going to dump. I also believe the side of that coin is true, and tomorrow could be the start of something we have, maybe only begun to dream about. And I
Sailor
mean,
looked awfully giddy. I'll say that. Sailor,
massive price action.
he looked really happy. I've never seen him happy like that.
No, he's usually pissed off and totally exasperated that he has to explain Bitcoin 101 for the umpteenth time.
They cut to
But yeah,
him on
yesterday,
camera, and he's like,
yeah,
"Here,
he's
buddy,
like got a he's got a
let's go."
literal he's got a literal winning lotto ticket,
Yeah, he seemed
and
to
uh
know something.
and he knows it. He knows it. And I just think we're on the cusp of something. The tendency is to go negative. I get it. The tendency is, for Bitcoin to take a huge dump, to sell the news. The US buying Bitcoin is bigger than the ETFs buying it. It's
Yeah,
way bigger. It's way
yeah.
bigger. And I think most countries aren't buying it on the open market. I think most countries are mining, which is why the hash rate is so ridiculously high. So I think that's probably one strategic way that the US will acquire it through mining. They're not going to go to Coinbase and be like, hey, can I buy some of this OG's Bitcoin? They're going to just ratchet up a shitload of server farms
Yeah.
and dominate the mempool.
Hash wars.
Yeah, I think that's pretty that's my thought. I think that's likely.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, countries, I mean, it's the same thing as like if you want to get as much Bitcoin as possible, then you want to go out and colonize territories that have a lot of gold and
Yeah.
mine it,
I think
and
the other
go
yeah,
about it that way, get it right from the ground. And I think countries would primarily want to get Bitcoin, yeah, using the energy sources that they control in their respective countries to, yeah, it's
exactly right.
a more
And
nation state way of doing it.
yeah, and America is the world's biggest trading partner. And if the world is denominated in Bitcoin, we are going to be the vacuum that sucks it all up. We will force people to sell us their Bitcoin or to sell us goods and services in Bitcoin
Yeah,
so that we can increase our holdings.
yeah.
It's not going to be the United States competing against, some high net worth individual to buy 100 Bitcoin off of whatever, Coinbase. It's going to be the US doing a trade deal in Bitcoin, and it's 10,000 Bitcoin over the next 50 years or something like that. We're talking big numbers, big time frame, and we might want 1 million Bitcoin in the US, but I think we're smart enough, the people who are leading the country today are smart enough to know we're just going to play a long game, and we're going to slowly suck the Bitcoin from the world into the United States. That's my prediction.
You know what? They don't realize, the governments, is that we've been competing with them for fucking years.
That's right, dude. Been front running them. Stacking, diligently stacking.
Yeah, they don't know that. Um, yeah, I want to read something, which I thought I just came across this today from BitPain,
Oh yeah, I like this
and I
guy.
just thought it was the most beautiful poetic thing I've read,
Is this
at
about
least in 12 hours from
Brad gargling balls?
That's right. That's right. This is about the crypto is for everyone marketing campaign. So I'm just going to read. BitPain's post word for word. Mark my words, the crypto is for everyone marketing campaign funded by shitface garling balls is so god-awful and cringe that it's going to do more damage to crypto than Gary Gensler ever could have. It's going to make crypto uncool. You could mainstream Bitcoin because it's a big boy asset, but crypto coins are kids' toys. No serious person buys ETH, let alone Sol or ADA, Cardano. They get it for free and they sell it to you. But nonetheless, low IQ incel mids gambled on shit coins because it was cool. They could buy six LCD monitors for $200 from eBay and play act as Fisher Price Wall Street traders. They could learn some jargon they didn't understand and LARP as cyberpunks on X. But all that is over. Rim job gutter fuck and his band of lobbyists churning out severance coded corporate promo slop, cringe Lord in Chief Eric Trump, and dump shilling his scam coin of the season means crypto is officially uncool. It's had its wizard of scam unmasking. It's pay no attention to the CBO behind the CEO behind the curtain moment. The kids won't see James Bond at the high roller baccarat table staring down with Goldfinger anymore. They'll see an obese chain smoker from the Midwest slumped at a polychrome slot machine in the Golden Nugget, dripping a well vodka on his I Love Ripple t-shirt, while his hedgehog of a wife begs him to stop inserting their savings into Brian Armstrong's filthy cunt. Crypto is so fucking over. This isn't the bottom for crypto. It's the top of an unbounded bottom, a bottom that gets fucked by a giant corporate schlong again and again. And all that's left for the everyone Ripple is marketing to is Shamath and David's sloppy seconds. They already went all in. Fuck crypto. Long live Bitcoin.
It's an anthem,
Beautiful.
dude.
Beautiful.
That is
Banger.
Hemingway. That is pretty raw. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think he's spot on. You know, the essence of that point is, you know, the party's over. You know, you should have known 2 years ago when NFTs plummeted and people stopped paying $150,000 for a JPEG. The joke has been on retail for years, and people are just starting to see it. And I think with Bitcoin, you know, look at us. Everybody has a chance to win. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to buy Bitcoin. There aren't 2 million people that will buy one Bitcoin so that there's none available on the exchanges. That's it.
Yeah.
There aren't 2 million people in the world that will or can buy one Bitcoin. But if they did, um, you know, we'd see a lot of fireworks. That would be it.
Yeah. Yeah,
There'd be
that's
no
right.
supply.
That's right. It's the only thing people should be focusing on, this whole XRP army thing and like this. Oh, it's just so disgusting, man. I can't wait for the downfall of all of it. It's gonna be glorious to behold.
Are you
Um,
still going at it in the replies with these XRP bots?
yeah, I had an interaction yesterday, just one if I can remember, where in the Ripple marketing campaign video, I posted a meme of Tony Soprano saying, "That sounds very gay." And then someone like some XRP show commented and was like, "Oh, Maxi, like what are you trying to say, Maxi?" And I was like, "I called you a homo. What don't you understand?"
They don't get it, dude.
Like, and then he said to me, uh, he said, "Have fun. Good luck with your old tech Dino boy." Called me Dino boy, like dinosaur boy. And I'm like, this is actually a bot. This is a bot because no normal person would think that calling someone Dino boy is like even a thing.
Yeah, I don't even know what that
It's
is.
like you went on AI or like ChatGPT and you were like, give me some insults to call somebody that is like into like old technology. And then ChatGPT said, how about dinosaur boy? And there's like, no, I'll shorten that. Pretty good, but let's lose the osor and just do dino boy.
Sick burn.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, wasted my time.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Yeah, I mean, Goodness. I'm like 40 accounts away from breaking 5,000 followers. And every time I post, I get a zero follower, like, porn bot that makes a reply.
Yeah.
I know that's limiting my reach. I can't grow at all because of the bots,
I
you
think
know?
I've handicapped myself because I've just been, using gay slurs and retard, and
It's
and like
therapeutic.
I'll post something, like no one's seeing this.
Yeah, just we're screaming into the void
Yeah,
in some
which is
ways.
okay, whatever. I mean, I'd rather be able to use, homophobic slurs and the word retard at my own free will and get zero likes versus not using those words and getting more likes. So, I mean, it is
And
what it is.
self-censoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good trade. It's socially acceptable, I think.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've got friends that are gay and they can be gay, but that doesn't mean I can't use homophobic slurs. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
To
yeah,
each
100%. 100% agree. Um, cool. What do you want to do? You want to stack some Bitcoin?
Yeah, let's stack some Bitcoin. Let me get my phone actually. Sorry. I always have it in the other room when I'm in here just to,
And I just
get
got to
away
sit
from the
by
distraction.
myself.
All right. Sit by yourself in silence. Okay. Elevator is fast today. Nice.
Nice work.
What
I was deep in thought.
were you thinking about? Anything you'd like to share?
Just, still buying Bitcoin under 90. I feel like
Pretty
that's
epic, dude. Pretty epic.
yeah, it is. It's pretty good. All right. What are you thinking today? You want to do 21?
Yeah, do 21.
Ooh, 211.
Nice.
Extra digit in there.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
I
buying.
got it at 89,093.
Yep, me too. 89,007.
All right. Well, that's good. We just ended up with more Bitcoin than we had going into the show. And that's what it's all about.
It is, man. I've been thinking like you know, and tell me what you think about this, but let's say you were able to fund a checking account with money you didn't need, call it 25 or 50 grand, and then auto dollar cost average every
Hmm.
day until it went to zero.
I love that.
That to me is like the dream right there. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do this year. I'm
Yeah.
going to set up a separate checking account that I don't use for bills and whatnot, and I'm just going to dump some money into it and auto dollar cost average. I'm not going to
That's-
think about it.
Yeah.
It's not going to come out of what I need to spend or live or provide for kids or food or anything like that. It's just going to be buying Bitcoin, on the daily.
That's smart. Yeah. You just have your own little account, put whatever set aside that you want to buy Bitcoin with, and just use that account. Yeah, probably gives a
Yeah,
lot more peace of mind.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
if you got other responsibilities and things like that, and you're like, how much is going out for this? How much is going out for that? It can get a little, and then you got the smash buys, and it
There
can
we
be
go.
a little hard.
Yeah, exactly. I
You
feel
like
like
watch
that's a good.
this thing, by the way? It's the AI paying with Bitcoin video that you shared earlier.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about this type of stuff because it's more than just, number go up narrative. And by the way, I'm using Brave browser now. I switched from Firefox
yeah,
to Brave because Firefox now is like, and I was using them because they were like one of the best privacy preserving and longest running browsers out there. And now they're collecting personal information and it's pretty messy and Brave looks pretty good. So
yeah. I use Brave. I don't use their basic attention token shitcoin, but
yeah.
which is super annoying.
Years
Goodness.
ago I bought some of that token years ago and
Oh, really?
not turn out well. It would have
Oh, it
probably
didn't?
been four. 5 years ago. 5 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah. Well, hey, lesson in there.
Let's take a look at this.
Sound?
Okay, pretty cool. First thing I'll say is I think it'd probably be a little easier just to buy the eSIM online. You can do it pretty quickly. That seemed kind of like a process for
Yeah.
using an AI agent using Bitcoin to buy an eSIM. But the exciting thing about this is just it's the demonstration of it. So you can imagine at scale what you can command an AI agent to do, like taking this example and building out from just buying an eSIM. Say you give them a couple $1,000 or whatever, and you say, I need here's everything or tell me AI agent everything that I need for a trip. Oh, you need a flight, you need to book a hotel room or an Airbnb, you need this, you need that. Okay, great. Find me and book only 4-star hotels or Airbnbs rated with from superhosts and give me a nonstop flight and present me some options. And then that agent gives you all of that with the prices associated. Then you say, make it happen, buy all of them at once, and then it sends you all the confirmation right through your email. That's when it gets very cool. And then even bigger than that, like just the potential here for um I don't know, a lot of other things that you could do.
Yeah,
That are,
think about how it removes effort. You replace effort with thought.
yeah,
You have a thought, I want to do XYZ, whether it's travel or create something or um, anything. I mean, the sky's the limit. You can use AI agents to do all the effort for you. You're not researching. Let's take the travel example. You're not researching destinations. You give it parameters. You want to go somewhere sunny or somewhere where you can ski or whatever the activity is, and then it can pull together all of the different options based on what your specifications are. It removes effort. You don't have to spend time doing all this stuff. Now, you might enjoy that and go nuts, but if you just want it handed to you like room service, silver platter, here it is, this is what it costs. You could do it within your budget that you set. You could do it based on the travel dates. I mean, it really just removes effort and makes what you want to accomplish as simple as saying, printing out a command or typing out a command.
Hmm.
So to me, like the fact that Bitcoin is going to be the thing that AI agents use to trade value, uh, just look a little bit further down the road and we'll have super intelligence, ASI, and they will talk to each other and probably develop their own economy where the sats that they use might be for purposes we don't understand. I mean, it could be wild, you know? I mean, you could end up with a lot of Bitcoin in the hands of AI agents over time.
Yeah.
And they'll probably create a unique and novel way to secure it, and it won't be the 12 words or the hardware wallet.
Mm. Wild, really, to envision that future and to be at these early innings of it. I mean, all the science fiction that's ever been written about this stuff is coming true, and I think even more than that. So it just actually makes one to get off grid a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I almost think it's not as much that the science fiction is coming true, but that the science fiction provided the roadmap.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're unbound by any, practical means of building anything. So they imagine these things that other people were inspired by and can build. Certainly, definitely a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wide world. I think was it Gigi who said, I've seen the future and you essentially, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact quote, but it's you want the thing that AI cannot create.
Yeah.
AI cannot create Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's probably the only thing that it will be unable to do. It could mimic human emotions, I mean, we'll have AI partners and AI friends and anything that you enjoy in your life could be replaced by AI.
Hmm.
We might end up going into some kind of digital matrix. But if you have Bitcoin, that's something that the AI cannot replace.
That's right. That's right. So buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, man.
Well, I don't know. There's a couple other posts that you shared. Do you want to talk about any of that? Quantum
Yeah,
computing
sure.
thing, and then the days per range. I can pull that up.
Yeah, why don't you do that last one? This one is a lot of math.
Which one?
This one's, there you go, that one right here. What this is going to summarize is how hard it would be, how long it would take for a quantum computer to break your private key.
That's a lot of
And
numbers.
a lot of numbers. And I think the answer towards the bottom is that it would take 3.73 undecillion years,
I don't even know.
which
I had no idea that was even a thing. Undecillion.
so it's essentially 270 septillion years. Longer than, if you believe the universe is 13.8 billion years old, I don't, but if you
Yeah.
do, go for it. Um, it will take a lot longer than that to break your private key. So as a Bitcoiner who's been into Bitcoin for years, I've thought I had some Bitcoin behind 24 words. You could do multi-sig, you could do institutional custody, you could do a seed plate with 12 words, and that's probably all you need. Simplest is best.
Yeah.
There are people that, they have multi-sig and they've geographically separated it. I think about, okay, how do I get my Bitcoin to the next person? Maybe I'll live to enjoy my Bitcoin. Maybe I won't. Can the next person who inherits it be able to decipher the security setup that I've created? And what this post tells me is that it would take longer than the universe has been created based on this 13 billion years to hack that private key. Nobody would be able to guess the
That's
address for
wild.
that Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
I love this.
yeah,
Your Bitcoin is safe. This whole quantum computing thing, like I
yeah,
don't think we
that's
even.
exactly right.
We
You
don't
know,
need to worry
and
about because I don't know. The smarter folks are worrying about that too, as that pertains to like mining and things of that nature. And I'm sure all the nodes would vote if there was some pending threat coming down the pike. And so I don't think that there's any cause for concern whatsoever.
yeah, I think that's right. There's no risk at losing your private keys to a quantum computer.
What about this one? What's to make of this, right? So we've got days Bitcoin is spent in price ranges, and is there a trend
Yes.
here? Like you're going to spend a lot of time or a little bit of time the farther up we go in price.
Yeah, I think it's well, I mean, that's really interesting because we don't know, obviously.
Yeah.
But we have spent a huge portion of Bitcoin's life between 10,000 and 100,000, the biggest meat, you know? And this is my participation in the Bitcoin network, really. I first bought it at 3,000, but it rocketed to 6,000 and I didn't keep that Bitcoin. I took the gains because I didn't understand it. And this is in like January of 2020. 2021, now we're in the 10,000 to $100,000 range. I rebought it again around 38,000, I think was, or 33 the first time that January of 21. Um, and I spent the bulk of my Bitcoin experience, all of it in that range. So aside from the 28 days that we've had above 100,000. So I think that what it tells me is that it feels like we're going to be at these places forever. So you have to mentally prepare that, we might touch a million and be there for 20 days, but then drop back below that threshold for another 3 years. I tend to believe that once we get to a certain level, we're going to have sort of escape velocity or whatever you want to call it, where we don't come down because the fear of missing out is so strong. And I think, once we hit, let's say 150 or 200 or 250, one of these mental thresholds, the price is not going to come down because people will understand holding on to it is going to be more valuable than shorting it and trying to increase your stack or selling it and trying to buy back lower on a dip. At some point, the dips are going to become so shallow that we just continue to accelerate up. And I think that could happen pretty quickly once it does. So I don't know. For me, it's like, we're running a race here. You're going to spend a certain amount of time at some of these boring price ranges. But if you can stack sats while you're there, it's really important to be grateful and
Yeah,
take
and
advantage of
yeah,
the.
look at the logarithmic chart and just know that I mean like what's the point of trying to time the market? And I mean you learn, you make mistakes, or you just need to get a little bit of money, fine. But we know where this is going, right? And it's going up. And don't let your emotions kind of rule you. And this is an interesting chart, an historical fear and greed correlated with the Bitcoin price. And it's interesting where we're at right now. I think this is really healthy, right? Like
Yeah,
I almost think, and that a little pain wouldn't be bad, right?
we're
Like,
not going to go to the 60s though. There's no
no, we're
way
not
we're
going to the
touching the
60s,
40s.
but I mean, even if we went to the 80s again or like 70s, then that, that takes us down to here, which is starting to get into the red, you know? I'm thinking like this is kind of where it is right now, but
Yeah.
today, like this moment in
Yep.
time, like I'm like, we're kind of like right here in 2020 when Bitcoin was at 8,000 and now we're at 80,000, right? And then it's like, okay, then went down to 7,000.
So a 10x. So you're saying a 10x, that's 900K,
Yeah.
890K. Yeah, I think that happens. I think that starts tomorrow. I think tomorrow the US announces something big. And maybe it's not that we're going to buy a million Bitcoin, but it's like we are going to go into mining and we're going to buy a certain amount of Bitcoin because that's the gun going off. And everybody else knows, oh, Trump is going to buy all the Bitcoin before he leaves office. And we're off to the races. So I think it starts tomorrow, and I think a 10x is totally reasonable, very historical.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, just try and envision this. Like, I remember this. This was crazy.
Yeah.
And then the fucking run up was just like, what the hell?
I didn't sleep those nights
That
going
was
from
absolutely wild. But,
20
obviously,
to
this
50.
was COVID, right? This is all COVID stuff. That's why it's so deep red, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
it's almost like, okay, how deep does this go based off of today when we don't have a COVID, but there's, tariff conversations and things like that, and not as extreme,
Unemployment.
unemployment, not as extreme as a COVID type of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't think for that reason that we go as deep into the fear index uh for as long. Um and yeah, dude, I think dude, but just imagine, get ready for this ascension. Boom, right? Like if you were around for this, you remember from 5K all the way up to 60K, it was fucking wild. So just imagine what it's going to be like from 88K to, you know, like approaching a million.
890K.
Yeah.
I think that's where we go next. It's 890. And
And this
I
wasn't
think
nation
it's
states buying. That's the thing. Okay.
right.
This was retail driven. Like, this was not governments buying Bitcoin. And so I think even for that reason alone, you're getting a higher price.
There are only 3 million Bitcoin available ever, except for the ones that, of course, could be sold. There's 2.1 million on exchanges, and then there's 1 million that will be mined from today over the next 120 years. And that's it.
Yeah.
So, we're not talking about a ton of money. We're talking about 220 billion. And
Yeah.
at the scale of the world, it's a drop in the bucket. You're not even a quarter of a trillion dollars. And the US is 36 trillion in debt. Like we're talking about a small portion of money. And I think tomorrow we'll hear that, yeah, the US is going to get into it and combine that with lower government spending from all the Doge cuts, huge unemployment. It's going to force the 10-year treasury to come down. They're going to lower interest rates. You're going to see huge debt boom. People are going to be taking out loans to buy cars, houses, Bitcoin. And I think that's what we're on the cusp of. It's the scarcity combined with all of these other macro models, and the monetary supply expanding. And we're just in this really weird period where we're going to have Bitcoin, we're going to have dollars, and maybe the dollars will be stable coins in the future. But it's like this is it. It's all, the blender is getting turned on tomorrow, and we're going to see who has Bitcoin and who doesn't. It'll be chaos.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. That's right.
Good stuff, brother. Well, I don't have anything else to talk through today, but exciting times. We'll see what tomorrow brings, and then we'll unpack it all on next week's show.
Yeah.